Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of, you guessed it, Big Daddy's Little Kitchen. Today I'm going to share with you one of my all-time Italian favorites, lasagna. And this recipe is not only good, it's fantastic. So stick around. When we come back, I'm going to show you how I do it next. Okay guys, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with a few fresh ingredients. And what I've done is I've started dicing a little bit of garlic. This may be a little more than a lot of you want. The next thing we're going to go and do is dice up a little bit of onion. And what we want to do is make sure we get a nice thin slice. We don't want it too coarse. And we're just going to take it down a little bit. Be careful to watch you don't grab your fingers in this little mix, because that is not part of the meat on this recipe.
Yeah, I go ahead and continue slicing these onions, get everything fine. Then I'll add a little bit of olive oil into the bottom of my pot. Dump those onions in and let them saute for a minute or two until they get nice and tender. Once we do that, I'll go back to the cutting board and I'll start chopping away on this basil and oregano, because we're going to use this here in just a little bit. But at this time, I'm going to add in my ground Italian sausage, and I like to use a mild, and a pound of ground beef as well. We'll stir that in and let it brown, and you can see I'm using my favorite wooden spoon to do that with. You're going to want something pretty sturdy to get this nice and mixed up. Continue chopping and blending with your onions until you get it nice and fine. I add a little bit of salt and pepper. I'll dump in a can of San Marzano style tomatoes, and you can break these up by hand, or like I'm going to do, just hit them with your wooden spoon and break them up. A little bit of tomato sauce and tomato paste, and continue gently stirring. Right now, it smells absolutely delicious with just these few ingredients. From here, we're going to add into this our garlic. And it may look like a lot of garlic, but I can tell you what, it's just right. And our fresh herbs. Right into the pot they go. Continue to gently stir these ingredients. Now I'm adding a cup of dry red wine, and you can choose your favorite dry red wine for this. I have my fancy little bag that I make my own Italian spices, and I'll leave that list of spices down below, and then a little tiny bit of fennel seed, and this really adds a whole lot of flavor, because I don't feel like they put enough in the Italian sausage. You give it a little sugar and then put a lid on it and let it simmer.
So the next thing we're going to do is crack a couple eggs here in this container and get this show started with a couple eggs. And then we're going to whisk those here around. Break them up.
Once you whisk your eggs, then you're going to add in your ricotta cheese and your cottage cheese, and continue stirring those to incorporate everything well. You can see I left just a little bit of cottage cheese, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sample that, because making this lasagna makes me hungry. Get everything whisked around in there, and the next thing we're going to want to do is put in a little bit of dry Parmesan cheese and parsley into this mix with a dab of salt and pepper, and you'll stir everything in well. Remember, this is one part of the recipe that you're not going to be able to taste anything or sample anything, because you know, we're dealing with raw eggs here. But once you get everything stirred up, we'll just set this to the side, and we'll come back to this here a little bit later. This time, I'm going to use a fresh mozzarella myself for this recipe. I like to be able to slice it nice and thin, You may opt for a shredded mozzarella or an already pre-sliced mozzarella. Hey, it all works great. After I get done with that, I'll dump these noodles into my pot of boiling water and let them cook. And that sauce, perfect. Now how you layer your lasagna is up to you, but I like to put my first layer of meat sauce down and then build it from there. And what I do is stack these noodles like so and go with a layer of meat sauce, a layer of cheese, and I personally like a thick lasagna. So the deeper the pan you have, I feel the better this goes. If you can stack it 5, 6, 7, 8 layers or more, hey, that's wonderful. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than a 2-layer lasagna. And while we're talking about what we like, I might add that I have a fantastic garlic bread recipe. You may want to check that out because it goes great with this particular dish. At this time, a lot of you may want to place this last layer of meat sauce and slide it into your oven at this point. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just one more layer of mozzarella cheese and bake that on top of this lasagna. I think it absolutely comes out great this way, but that again is up to you. And here we have it.
Okay guys, here's the moment we've all been waiting for. The lasagna is now out of the oven and we're gonna let it rest for about 15 to 20 minutes. Let this thing cool off a little bit and we'll have nice clean slices. I hope all of you enjoyed this recipe as much as I've enjoyed making it for you. Until next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, share it with your family and friends, share it with the world. I'd love to hear from all of you. Leave your comments. Until next time, we'll see you back here on Big Daddy's Little Kitchen.